10 random magic cards rated day number 115. Happy Friday, everybody. What's the first card of the day? It's going to be Electrosiphon from Fallout over here. He looks cool. He reminds me of Krang from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, you know? But anyway, double blue and a red for an instant counter target spell. You get an amount of energy equal to its mana value. What? Seems pretty good. It seems all right. There's a version of this for 11 cents, but there's also versions for like $2. And I'm like, how come? But anyway, this is actually kind of good. I like it. A cancel, a harder to cast cancel even with upside, but in this case, the upside is pretty good. I remember some cards getting printed recently. Maybe it was Modern Horizons 3 that were energy enabling, and a lot of them were like instant speed. So can you do like an energy control deck? I like this. I'm going to give it a 4.74. Not quite a 5. It's still a cancel. Right? It's still a cancel. So we'll move on to Foresta. This is actually a forest in disguise. 5. It doesn't count though. Ian Chesterton from Doctor Who. We got all this Universes Beyond talk recently, right? And what are our first 2 cards of the day? Yikes. That's just saying, we get a Fallout card and then a Doctor Who card. Mr. Chesterton, maybe a Doctor, Professor Chesterton. Is he a doctor? No, he's not a doctor. He's a human scientist. Anyway, this is 3 mana, 2 and a white for a 2/3 legendary human scientist. It has Science Teacher. Each saga spell you cast has Replicate. The Replicate cost is equal to its mana cost. It also has Doctor's Companion. So you can have 2 companions if the other is a doctor. Basically, each saga spell you cast has Replicate. Well, that's fun. That seems kind of fun. But you have to pay like 1 million mana to actually do it. I don't know. It's cute, but that's about all it is. I like his face. He seems like a nice enough guy. 4.75. It's a 100th of a point higher than the last card. Unique commanders will kind of get you a long way on this series. Come on, next. It's Hungry Mist. Ooh, it's from Homelands, everybody. This is the art I always liked a little bit more down here. I like this one because she doesn't know. She doesn't know. It's right there. She has no idea. It's creepy. 4 mana, 2 and 2 green for a 6/2 Mist. It's actually an elemental nowadays. During your upkeep, pay 2 green mana or sacrifice Hungry Mist. So 4 mana for a 6 power guy. 4 mana for a 6 power guy. Come on. Deadly Insect. Back when both cards were around at the same time, Deadly Insect was always just kind of better than this. Deadly Insect is, I believe, 4 mana as well and easier to cast if my mind serves. It is a 6/1 that effectively has hexproof. I think it actually has Shroud. Nothing can target it. But a lot of the time, you'd rather have the 6 power guy your opponent can't hit with a removal spell than a 6/2 you have to pay mana for every turn. Come on, man. Homelands has a reputation for a reason, but I always kind of thought this card was cool. It's not good. So we'll throw like a 3 point. No, we won't. We'll throw like a 2.37. Sure. I don't know why I'm agonizing over scores today. 2.37. Sure. Next is Arcane Endeavor from Forgotten Realms Commanders. 7 mana, 5 and 2 blue for a sorcery. Oh god, you rolled die. Roll 2d8 and choose 1 result. Draw cards equal to that result. Okay, then you may cast an instant or sorcery spell with mana value less than or equal to the other result from your hand without paying its mana cost. Okay, so the most common thing to roll on 2d8, that's actually kind of tough. It's better than rolling 2d6 though. So if the most common result on 2d6 is 4, 3, 7, just some total of 7 is the most common result. On d8, it would have to be like 9. Yeah, 5, 4. So let's say you draw 5 cards. No, you draw 4 cards and then you cast a 5-drop for free. But like some of the time, it's just going to be like draw 7 and then like put a 3-drop into play or something. And that's going to suck. So you draw 3, put a 7-drop into play. I don't know. I've never seen this card before. So it's like breaking my brain. I wish I had 2 D8. Who has D8? I've got a bunch of D6. I got some D20s. I've got some other. I got a D10 or 2 over there. I do not have a D8 on me right now. So I don't know how to test this result. Roll like 6 times. It's been way too long on the card already. It's like 25 cents. Nobody plays it. It's really interesting though, especially for a roll 2 dice card. I don't like rolling dice too much. I think it's dumb and random. But rolling dice, the actual action is fun. This is like a 4. It's like a 4. It costs too much mana. It costs 7 mana. It's crazy. Next is Devoted Caretaker, only ever printed in Odyssey at rare. A rare 1-drop, everybody. A single white mana for a 1/2 cleric. It's a human cleric, actually. You can pay a white and tap it, and target permanent you control gains protection from instants and sorceries until end of turn. Huh. I've not seen this. Weirdly, I've heard the name of this card before. I know I've heard the name of this card before, but I've never seen it with my eyeballs. So that's what you do. You're good. I was kind of in and out for Odyssey block. I got to be honest with you. I wasn't playing like Sunday tournaments all the time. I wasn't playing F&Ms and stuff like that. I kind of dropped out a little bit for a year or two there during this block. So maybe that's why I don't necessarily remember you. You had to be played, right? I mean, come on. You're good. You're not quite Mother of Runes, but in some cases you may actually be better than Mother of Runes in edge cases. It's good. Devoted Caretaker gets, what would Mother of Runes get? Like a 7.5? So Devoted Caretaker gets a 6.7 because you have to pay mana for the activated ability, and that's not great, but it's still pretty good. This is still a pretty good card, you know. But we'll move on. Maybe we might move on. There it is. Lorehold Apprentice, printed in Strixhaven's School of Mages. Could have just said Strixhaven. I didn't even say that right. I said Strixhaven. Like, that's a thing that exists. 2 mana, Boros colors for a 2/2 human cleric with Magecraft, a great ability. Whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell, until end of turn, spirit creatures you control gain tap. This creature deals 1 damage to each opponent. So, spirit-specific 2-drop that is not itself a spirit that also wants you to play instants and sorceries in your deck. I don't know, dog. I like Magecraft as an ability, and obviously, if you can find a way to get like 30 spirits on the table, probably do something cool with it, but that's some setup, my man. So I'm going to just throw like a 3.9 on this. I hate to do it because I really like Magecraft, but that's boy, man, I like setting up as much as the next guy, but that's setting up like your parents are coming over. You know what I mean? We got to clean everything. We got to make sure this house looks perfect. And that's exactly what, like, Lorehold Apprentice will not be pleased unless the house looks perfect. You have to. So I'm not too sure about that, man. Overlord of the Floodpits, the Pokemon printing of the card, sits up next. Let's look at I don't mind these printings. I think they actually look kind of amazing, but let's look at the one that looks like a magic card. Can we do that? Okay. So 5 mana, 3 and 2 blue for a 5/3 enchantment avatar horror with impending 4 for 1 and 2 blue. So I know this card's in standard, but just in case you've never seen this, that's you pay the impending cost, and it gets 4 counters on it. You remove a counter at the end of every turn of yours. And then when it doesn't have any counters, now it's a creature. Now it's a creature. Until then, it's just an enchantment. So this is a 5 mana, 5/3 flyer, or a 3 mana enchantment for a few turns. But whenever it enters the battlefield or attacks, draw 2 cards and then discard a card. So if you play it on turn 3 for 3 mana, you get a catalog effect at sorcery speed in this case. So most of the time, I guess there are tricks, but that's not terrible. It's really not bad. And then like later in the game, you just play it for 5 mana, you get the ETB trigger, you get a 5 power flyer. Like it's all good. It's all okay. This card has slowly but surely been seeing like slightly more play in standard. It kind of depends on the build. You know, originally it saw some play when Dustmourne first came out in these like Bant Overlords decks, but now you're more likely to see it in an Overlord deck from time to time, but it's also in like this weird blue-white control mid-range hybrid that you see from time to time. It's doing some stuff. Teamer Doppelgang will play it from time to time. I think it's a one of usually. So it's been doing some stuff. I don't know if it's the strongest Overlord in Duskmourn, but it is a card that I kind of like. And God, can you imagine if 10 years ago this had been printed in like none of the Overlords besides it had, just this guy, it gets printed in like Khans of Tarkir. I'm pretty sure he's playable, right? But we've come some way since then. I'm still going to give this a 5.4, and that might be some recency bias on my part. I completely understand, but I think this thing is really very good. I do. Next is Alrund's Epiphany. Oh my goodness. Speaking of standard playable cards, this thing got banned in standard. This is 7 mana. Don't let anyone ever tell you that 7 drops are unplayable in standard, because this got banned. It literally was unplayable in standard. It wasn't. You weren't allowed. 7 mana, 5 and 2 blue for a sorcery. Create 2/1/1 blue bird creature tokens with flying. Take an extra turn after this one and exile Alrund's Epiphany. You can also foretell this for 4 and 2 blue. So during your turn, you can pay 2 and exile this card from your hand face down. Cast it on a later turn for the foretell cost. So if you want a 1 mana discount, you have to pay 2 mana now. But they can't make you discard it, I guess. That's kind of nice, It's just kind of sitting over there for the rest of the game, safe, tucked away. Even if your opponent knows it's coming, it still kind of doesn't matter. Sometimes a turn is all that matters. You trade an early turn for a later turn, and that's really good, typically, in a lot of Magic the Gathering. Often, Alrund's Epiphany, just like Nexus of Fate, right? Alrund's Epiphany would chain into an Alrund's Epiphany. You take multiple turns, like 3-4 turns. You get like multiple birds. You get to swinging. And you just put your opponent in a situation that's untenable. Even if they get another turn, what are they going to do about all the value you generate? Your 6 birds, your 2 other guys that you played, all of their mana is just up waiting to counterspell or do whatever they need to do, remove your guys. So Alrund's Epiphany was a crazy card. Very, very good. Even if it only ever read as like 2 free 1/1 birds or whatever, it's not that. It's so much more than that. It's still pretty good. So because very often opponent would resolve 2 Alrund's Epiphany and just win because they did that. So the bird damage adds up fast. I can't give this like an extremely high score because it's not super playable anywhere outside of the original standard environment, in which it was banned. Again, I feel like that's an important distinction, but I will give this a 6.6. Because of that pedigree. The banning in standard matters, but also, it's take an extra turn. Take an extra turn after this one is always worth something. Dang it. So let's throw that on there. Next is Triskelion, a card that I like. This is the Dominaria remastered version. Originally printed in Antiquities, though. This is 6 mana for a 1/1 construct artifact creature that enters with 3 +1/+1 counters on it. If you remove a +1/+1 counter, it can deal a damage to any target. Seems unassuming, right? It's actually really good. This card was really good for a large space of Magic history, and it's been reprinted like a ton of times. Again, because of that reputation. This may not be as good as it used to be, but there are still some commander decks every now and again that'll like load up a Triskelion with +1/+1 counters, and just like, in a way, this was the first Walking Ballista. Like, this is the card that Walking Ballista and Hangerback Walker and a bunch of other cards like it, Tetrabus, a little less famous, but still, are all based on. And Triskelion was a menace. For one, any deck could play this card. Still can, but any deck could play this card. So for some green ramp decks, this was their removal piece. And like they had ways to get other counters on it and stuff. But for the longest time, it was just 3 damage from Triskelion. That's how I'm going to either, kill your guy to get through for combat damage or occasionally just kill you. But that's another thing Triskelion can do is like just bolt you for 3 and you die. So that's like, it's kind of neat. But I have to give Triskelion the honorary 5 of the day because I'm worried that I will have to give him a lower score than 5, and I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that to Triskets, dude. I love Triskelion so much, even though I haven't thought about him in a couple of years. I think he deserves some respect on his name. He's a good dude. But final card of the day is Strata Scythe from Commander 2014, but originally Scars of Mirrodin. This is 3 mana for an equipment. Imprint. When it enters the battlefield, search your library for a land card, exile it, shuffle your library. Equipped creature gets +1/+1 for each land on the battlefield with the same name as the exiled card, and you can equip it for 3. So obviously you get rid of all of your planes, right? That's what you're get rid of all the basic lands of a type in your deck, and then the equipped creature will get like plus 20, plus 20, whatever it is. You know what I mean? But it hardly ever actually like works that way. I gotta say, this is still like a, I won't say popular commander card, but you hear talk of it now and then in equipment decks and such. But I've never been the biggest fan, because if you exile all your basic lands, then you don't have any basic lands. You know what I mean? maybe you want that. There's totally times where like, okay, I got 6 lands, I'm good to go. Let's get it done. And then you'll thin your deck of all the, well, not all the lands, but just you know, some of the lands. So if you have, you know, what is it, 7 planes out when you equip this, then your guy gets +7/+7 if the card you exiled is planes. And like, that seems okay. It at least seems okay. So yeah, fine. I can't give it a high score though. I can't give it a high score. It does, the creature does get better technically, like whatever you hook it up to gets better as the game goes on and you play basics. So I guess there's that, you know. But I'm still not super, not loving it. But no, I think that it's like a 4.5. Let's 4.5 it. I mean, it's obviously like potentially powerful, but I'm just not sure it's quite there. But that is it for today, everybody. I thought we'd get a bonus card in, but I didn't realize the video was already this long. I love talking about Magic cards. Don't you, Ziggy? He's back there. I'm Dev. See you tomorrow. Bye.